Because the thing that strikes me as my feed is full of reactions to this very person and what she's saying is that as a survivor of domestic abuse, it all feels too familiar. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Shafer of Talks with Dr. Shafer. I'm a physician, mom, life coach, musician, author, publisher, and I'm passionate about storytelling as a tool to help you reclaim your story and build your most beautiful future. There has been some echo on social media this week, and I really feel compelled to respond to it. Not directly to what's being repeated over and over again about a certain actress, but rather to try to redirect our attention where I think it could do more good. Who am I talking about? You've probably already guessed it, Blake Lively. So today on this short talk on Talks with Dr. Shafer, I want to talk about attention and what is the price of where we decide to direct our attention. What's the price? We have to get in the habit of always asking, what is the price? Nothing is ever free. Time, money, resources, freedom. We don't want to see the world and life as transactional, but every choice we make is a trade of sorts. The world is in a competition for our most precious resources, our time and our energy. We cannot choose the challenges and the subject matter that the world presents to us. Some days it may feel like we're surrounded by negative energy. Some challenges may seem so complex and large that they feel insurmountable. But really, we can choose where to focus our energy and where to spend our resources. We have more agency than our habits may have led us to think. Many of the decisions we make on a daily basis occur because they are habitual in nature. Perhaps we are used to drinking coffee in the morning, even on days where we'd be better off avoiding caffeine. Maybe we're in the habit of always saying yes to everyone and everything because deep down we fear that saying no will lead to rejection or someone not liking us. We consume the media that comes across our screen and make the generous assumption that the information is true, and then incorporate the information into our beliefs. This last habit, so incredibly human and difficult to overcome, strikes me today. This week, Blake Lively has made a lot of headlines and social media posts due to her interactions with the press, now and in the past, and her presentation at the premiere events for the very important and impactful movie that she is starring in, It Ends With Us. The purpose of the discussion here today is not to interpret or dissect or make assumptions of intention with regards to Blake Lively's recent interactions in promoting her film. Because the thing that strikes me as my feed is full of reactions to this very person and what she's saying is that as a survivor of domestic abuse, it all feels too familiar. A woman is brave enough to be a part of the discussion about domestic violence, abuse, and the plight of women worldwide. And the conversation is quickly turned to her tone, her clothing, her interactions. She's vilified, not for her efforts to bring light to the experience of women suffering from domestic violence, which she has arguably done, certainly, by the consistent effort she put into starring in this film, but for moments in time which she fell short of the expectations we have of her. The collective and growing sentiment is one of that she is not doing enough, she's not doing it right, and she's fumbling this chance. But for those of us who have been in the position where we finally found the courage to speak out about what was happening to us, many, if not all of us, have experienced the exact same thing. When you dare to speak out against a force that's trying to keep you isolated, diminished, and depleted, every tool possible will be used to ridicule you, to isolate you, to put you back where you belong. I mean, just look at her. Look at how she dresses. Did you hear what she said? And that look on her face. Do you believe anything she says? The implication of this response is one to make us question the credibility of the one who is stepping forward, to try to coercively bully her into submission, and to show anyone else who is potentially thinking of supporting her and her cause, that the consequences will be high, and that anyone who stands beside her will be cast in the same light. So what is she to do? Slip back into the shadows? Stop existing? What would make people happy? It takes a victim of domestic abuse an average of 7 attempts to leave their abuser. 7. And the response that we are seeing against Blake Lively, whether you feel it is warranted or not, is an excellent example of how survivors themselves are treated, creating further barriers to them leaving and seeking the safety that they truly deserve. So I humbly ask, how do we want to spend our limited time and energy? Do we wish to dissect the intentions and actions of someone who has dedicated a significant part of their life, their time, and their efforts to spotlight an important and heartbreaking story of domestic violence, a brave act that many of us, even survivors, are fearful to do? Does that further our cause of bringing to light the incredibly important and common problem of domestic abuse so that we can hopefully help create a world where we are less fearful, not only for ourselves, but for our daughters, our granddaughters, and the other people we love who will statistically be at a high risk of suffering at the hands of domestic violence and abuse in their lifetimes? Or can we focus our energy on the fact that this movie exists, that so many people are bravely telling and sharing this story with the world, that so many women are coming out of the shadows, sharing their stories, and choosing safety, in part because this piece of art and advocacy exists? Where is our energy best spent? I am grateful for this movie and for all the people who made it happen. I'm grateful for when they get it right and even when they get it wrong, because that is an incredibly important part of the process of all of us working to make the world a better place. We have all been failing at how we look at and discuss domestic abuse, how we view victims, how we judge them, and make excuses for what they have experienced. We have all made mistakes in assessing situations where the costs were high. We have all missed opportunities to help someone who desperately needed it. How do I know this? Because the statistics tell us that it's true. They tell us that we are surrounded by opportunities to help people escape the tyranny of abuse. So that is what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on doing better. I'm going to focus on how I can be a better advocate for victims of abuse and how we can use our resources, including this important movie, to spotlight this important issue. I'm going to do better, and I hope you'll join me. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you so much for being here for this short talk on Talks with Dr. Shafer. I'm so glad you're here. Stay safe and take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Everybody's lonely, but you can hold on to me, and I will try to make it right. Everyone needs something. Let me be that